Hello class. I figured my study on efficiency should follow a similar philosophy in my presentation, so don't be alarmed by the dull title slide. And welcome to efficiency. However, before we begin, I'm looking to invest all of my savings, and I figured what better time to get advice from such bright minds. So my question to you all, is this a good investment in a stock? No, of course not. But neither is this a stock, but an actual walking pattern from an actual person. But you can imagine a similar expression on my face, as would yours if I had invested in that stock, while observing this person traverse this straight sidewalk so terribly during my observational study. I mean, quite possibly society's least efficient traveler. I mean, really convinced it was pretty terrible. To put this in perspective, that is 9 feet of lateral waste along a 120-foot sidewalk. But fear not, this is my best example of my worst traveler, and our species may not yet be doomed. I mean, you would think, after thousands of years of walking, this essential component of life would be finely tuned, as efficient and automatic as breathing. This is the question I sought to answer. How efficient are we really? And so I observed the newest walkers. I'm talking 21st century multitaskers. And maybe, perhaps we're seeing a form of evolutionary walking regression in front of our eyes, quite literally. Specifically, I look to investigate phone use, group walk, gender, direction of travel, and their effect on navigation efficiency of unknowing participants. Now, to do this, I peered down perched 4 stories high above a straight 120-foot sidewalk, and I recorded subjects' position along 14 intervals. Each interval was then split into 8 equal parts measuring 9 inches in between, essentially creating a grid. From there, I recorded the position of individuals while they walked completely through my grid. And meanwhile, a second observer recorded characteristic data. For instance, whether they were in a group, on their phone, direction of travel, and their gender. Now, a path of greatest efficiency was calculated using each individual start and end point. And then we measured the deviation and summed that up using their actual travel path, overlaid on the best path efficient possible. The multi-factor ANOVA allowed us to look at which characteristics correlated with worst efficiency. I'm curious, which of you believe that gender was the most important predictor of travel efficiency? How about group walk? And those for phone use? Well, none of them, sort of. My results indicated the most important determinant of travel efficiency was actually direction of travel. That is, those moving away from school were relatively good navigators as compared to those headed toward the building. In regard to p-value, direction was my significant finding. You can see on the y-axis of these box plots, deviation in inches is what was measured, where on bottom we have your characteristics. Notice an average that the walkers coming toward the building wasted an additional 20 inches as compared to those walking away. Now that totals 40 inches on average of wasted travel, and that is nearly 3% of inefficiency along the sidewalk. Now there was also some moderate support that shows males were less efficient travelers, and some support that showed using a phone led to less efficient travel. But this really brings me to a tough question, discussion, conclusion, paper presentation. The whole thing was difficult because direction of travel was an afterthought. It wasn't even something that I really thought to measure until I was in the experiment itself. I think if I would have came across using a phone as significant findings, that would be easy for implications of, you're distracted on your phone. It's attentional resources leading to increased errors, or maybe gender was the problem. Significant finding in that your biological differences, your gait, led to more deviation between gender. But no, it was direction of travel. And I was a bit torn whether I wanted to go in full confidence with my discussion and implications that maybe it was in some implicit motivation, that those traveling toward school weren't as excited and therefore had more deviation in their travel, whereas while students leaving school were excited to get home, or maybe that turkey sandwich in the truck, they're hungry, I don't know, but they're more efficient. But I'm really torn, and to open this up into discussion, more than just discussion, I would really appreciate your ideas of maybe why you thought it was that. We can bounce off each other. So without further ado, let's get into any questions you may have or ideas. I'd be very interested in those as well.